evening with your CIGTV News Update. I'm Donna Bush. In our top story, hundreds of teachers attended the annual Education Professionals Welcome yesterday at the Mary Miller Hall. Hear more on how the intellectual property law is doing and how you can take part in a DOE consultation on mangroves. On Thursday, hundreds of current and new teachers attended the annual gathering where changes and improvements are discussed and outlined. Education Minister, the Honourable Juliana O'Connor-Connolly, spoke about various changes, including the curriculum and the increase in salaries for teachers.
Well, I've delegated that power to my Education Council under the leadership of Mr. Dan Scott. They've set various subcommittees and they're working to look at the existing curriculum that we have now, where the lacunas or the deficits are, and also looking towards the British curriculum to see what that affords. And they have now, one of the subcommittees is a transitional committee. I think Mr. Mark Scotland leads up that committee. I'm waiting for that report to come in the first quarter of next year, and we're hoping to go with whatever that curriculum turns out to be, whether it's revised or a brand new curriculum in September 2019. That increase for the salaries, we were able to work within savings, yes, that we have in a budget. I announced it last year, so everybody and their son knew that I was going to fulfill it within the 3-year term, and I'm so happy for the full commitment of the government that they're allowing me to commit and to deliver that promise to my teachers in this year and next year.
Meantime, Chairman of the Education Council, Mr. Dan Scott, also addressed the room filled with educators.
Working together, we must inspire our children and ensure they obtain the skills necessary to have the confidence to dream, pursue their dreams, and indeed achieve their dreams. As teachers, you play the most important of roles. You have the opportunity to inspire like no other can. Todd Whitaker suggests the best thing about being a teacher is that it matters. The hardest thing about being a teacher is that it matters every day. Know that you have the support of Education Council as you work to teach your students. More importantly, it is clear that you have the support of the elected officials of this country as the Minister presses forward with implementing her policies, and the support from all quarters are very, very clear.
CIGTV will bring you more news from the welcome and the new school year next week. Meantime, stay tuned to the Ministry of Education's website and Facebook page for official updates as government schools prepare to open next week. Well, the new trademarks law, which is the key to the Cayman Islands' modernized legal framework for intellectual property, has facilitated a year-long surge in local registrations for company brands. Officials noted yesterday that direct trademark registration has been strong, providing a key barometer for intellectual property growth right here in the Cayman Islands. Under the previous law, the Cayman Islands averaged 300 applications per year. Since the new trademarks law began back in August of 2017, that number has doubled, with 621 applications received in the past 12 months. In addition to the new trademarks law, last August, government enacted legislation to facilitate the extension of design rights to the Cayman Islands. In 2016, government updated the Cayman Islands copyright law to widen the scope of creative media that are locally protected. It also made minor adjustments to the patents law to give it its own distinction as a form of intellectual property. Now, the full suite of laws now in force has resulted in additional legal expertise on island that assists companies and individuals to better protect their local intellectual property creations. Finally, this Friday, members of the public have until Monday, September the 3rd, to submit their feedback on the proposed species conservation plan for mangroves. Mangroves are an incredibly important habitat for the Cayman Islands. They provide many ecological services, yet black mangroves are already listed as endangered on the national red list due to the rate of disappearance. Now, to help turn around the situation, the Department of Environment has outlined a species conservation plan which will advise on protective measures going forward for all 4 species, the black mangrove, the white mangrove, the red mangrove, as well as the buttonwood. Consultation on the plan began back in late July. To have your say on conserving our mangroves, you can visit doe.ky. As always, if you would like to take a look at what is on CIGTV this week. You can also go online to gis.gov.ky and click on the publications link at the bottom of the homepage. If you missed today's news update or this week, you can go on the Cayman Islands Government Facebook page as well as the CIG Television YouTube channel. For now, I'm Donna Bush, as always, thanking you for joining us this week, wishing you a wonderful and, of course, a safe weekend. Hoping you'll join us back here again next week. Until then, bye-bye for now. Did you know that planning permission is required for a shed? Did you know you should check with the department as a planning and permit application may be required? Did you know planning permission is required to clear land by mechanical means? You should check with the department as a planning and permit application may be required.
Boating, fishing, and water sports in the Cayman Islands are great, but keep a cool head. Here are 7 tips for fun and safe sea outings. Number 1. Use a checklist to plan your outing. Check the weather forecast, make a float plan, and share it with someone who is remaining on land, stating where you're going, with whom, and when you're expected to return. Visit your nearest marine supply store to get your safety gear. This includes signaling mirrors, whistles, and a flare kit. It's also very important to have onboard flotation devices and life vests for each person. There are different types of vests. Some are for water sport activities such as snorkeling, and others are for going on offshore boating or on fishing trips. Number 2. These items can be lifesavers in case of an accident or bad weather. Number 3. Use a motor kill switch, especially if you're boating alone. In case of a leak or breakdown, always stay with the boat until help arrives. If you capsize, an emergency beacon or locator device can send a distress signal to inform the authorities of your location. Larger flares will indicate distress to a boat, airplane, or search and rescue officials. Number 4. In addition to sunscreen, food, and beverages, it would be smart to have a cell phone. Make sure your marine radio works. Cayman boaters use Channel 16 to communicate. Number 5. Also, don't forget your anchor and sufficient rope. Number 6. Boat operators should be familiar with the local waters and reefs, as well as the capabilities and functions of the vessels they are using. Always obey the rules of the sea and the marine environment, and have courtesy for others. Number 7. Alcohol and salt water do not mix, especially if you're the captain. Some useful contact numbers are 911. The RCIPS Marine Base is 649-7710, and the Port Authority is 949-2055. Smooth sailing, all!
Did you know that planning permission is required for an addition, alteration, or any material change to your house? The 10% rule no longer exists. Did you know you should check with the department as a planning and permit application may be required?